Ow. The big dog eat.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We were dealing with some technical difficulties. We couldn't get our normal camera setup going. So tonight, normal. So tonight you're just going to see us on the big screen. Normally we have like the two different camera angles, but that wasn't really working for us.
I kind of like being on the big screen. Probably should have combed my hair.
That's all right. So this is going to work for tonight. Normally we have our little menu kind of list that you need, but that's okay. We're going to post our recipe for this on our Instagram, so you can follow us there if you don't already, at OurDinnerisDunn. That's also our YouTube handle. But tonight...
Hey, Mark.
Hey,
is that
Mark,
like a singing Mark Moji?
Looks like it.
Singing Mark Moji?
So tonight we're going to be making a baked penne dish, and we're going to be using portobello mushrooms, canned artichoke, and some goat cheese. So this is kind of a play on that dish that we made a couple weeks back where we made the stuffed portobellos with some spinach and goat cheese. But instead we're going to use artichoke hearts, and we're going to make this into like a nice little bake that we're going to throw in the oven. So I'm going to get our oven preheated to about 375. I'm just going to get that going for when we need it later. Some of the ingredients that you're going to need, since we don't have them listed on the screen, you're just going to need some penne breadcrumbs, some penne rigate pasta, crushed tomatoes, canned artichokes. They were nice and simple. They were already the hearts. And some portobello mushrooms. If you don't have large portobello mushrooms, you could certainly use baby bellas or substitute whatever mushrooms you have at home. You'll need some olive oil, some butter, some shallots, and some garlic. And that's really it. So we're going to get going. So, hello, Babs. Welcome. So this is going to be kind of like a simple sauce that we're going to be making with this too. Simple kind of marinara that Jimmy usually makes. And so all you're really going to need is just some garlic, some shallots. We're going to use shallots instead of onions. We've been on this shallot leaf, and we
still have so many of them left, which is so cool.
Yeah, which is great. So we're going to have about 2 shallots here. We're going to cut those up. I'm just going to...
I'm going for this.
I'm going to rinse off these mushrooms.
Yeah, because we're actually going to do the... well, I can do that.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a technical issue trying to get set up. I set up earlier in the day. I usually start setting up about an hour before we stream. And for whatever reason, the app that connects our other camera wasn't working today. And I was trying it on my phone and his phone. You know how it is. So this will work for now. But this will be good. So we love pasta in this house. And I love like a plain old baked ziti pasta.
Make a mean big ziti.
I do. He says I make a mean big ziti, but it's really, I just use jarred sauce. And
but it tastes really good.
I do look really simple. But this is kind of like a play on that. And we're going to be using just some little extras that we normally don't use. For example, in a traditional kind of big ziti, you're going to use mozzarella cheese. But tonight we're going to use goat cheese because we just kind of like the tanginess and the flavor profile of that.
Big fans of goat in this house.
So it'll be good. I'm just going to pat these mushrooms dry too.
I always forget that part.
Before we
scoop them.
Yeah, before we get started.
Degill them, right?
Degill, I guess, is the way to do it. But when you wash mushrooms, if they're really not that dirty, you could always just kind of wash them with a wet paper towel or just wipe them. But these were a little bit dirty, so... he wet them really well, and so I'm just going to dry them up just a little bit so that they're not super waterlogged.
I think Meatball sees a ghost.
Our dog is staring at the baby's
basement door.
Oh
no, maybe it was the
It's
baby.
probably the baby chair. He's probably like,
where's the baby? And why is he not eating? So I can eat the scraps.
Well, the baby's playing in his play chair right now, and when he starts to cry, which he probably will shortly, then we'll set him up for dinner. Use a paper towel. So, let's see. Anybody in the chat?
Which one's dry?
These two are.
So I'm going to de-gill them, which just means there's these gills. They look kind of like fish gills on the inside. You could leave them.
That one wasn't. I'm sorry.
No.
I think it was this one. That one.
Okay.
My bad.
So they look like fish gills on the inside. So I'm just going to scrape them out with a spoon. You could leave them in. It's generally like a textural issue that people have with them. I don't think I've ever left them in.
No, I think we usually
I
take
think
them
we
out.
just always de-gilled them, so I don't even know what they would necessarily taste like. I don't think it's necessarily an off-putting taste. I think it's more of a textural issue. I'm just going to gently scrape them out. The gills are gone. You see, they scrape out very easily, just with a regular teaspoon.
Hope everybody was having a good Friday today. Ours was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. So this is not my first week, but my first full week. I don't remember what my.
You've been in and out.
I've been in and out of school as far as like remote or virtual. I don't know what we're supposed to call it. Remote learning, and then in person. So we are on my entire middle school, not my whole district. The middle schools have a 2-week pause, as they like to say it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's more user friendly due to positive COVID cases, multiple. So we're home, but I got some good news. My co-teacher tested negative today, so that's a good sign for me not having it. I did not have a direct contact with anyone that had tested positive, which is a good thing. So
yeah,
getting one weekend looks good. It was a rough beginning of the week.
It was, and for anybody who is dealing with COVID, which everybody pretty much is around the world right now, particularly where we live in our country, but anybody who's dealing with it or is dealing with it personally or has a loved one who's dealing with it, sending positive vibes your way, and hopefully
Do my Anthony watch. I mean, I usually do it anyway. But.
Yeah.
So we watch a lot of Queer
yeah.
Eye, the Straight Guy, part 2, or like.
No, that's it's
the newer one.
It's the newer version of Queer Eye. It's the More Than the Makeover season with ones that we watch. We're
So
up
the
to
new one,
season.
the Netflix one,
Yeah.
adds.
And then there's a new one.
I wasn't really sure. Not that there's anything wrong with that. No, I just didn't know if I'd be into a makeover show. But
It's so great.
yeah, we pretty much cry every episode.
Yeah.
They're like so heartfelt.
It's so great.
Guy today adopted a new dog. He was at like the shelter, like looking at dogs. Waterworks. All right.
Okay.
Want to start mushrooms?
Yes. So
we're gonna go olive oil. You could go with butter to start.
We're going to be using olive oil and butter too, especially when we add the shallots in. So the first thing we're going to want to cook is these mushrooms because they're going to take the longest. So he's just going to give them a nice chop, throw them in the olive oil, let them start to soften up a little bit. And once they're kind of soft and at that desired tenderness that we want, then we'll throw in the shallots and let those cook down with the mushrooms for a little bit. And then the final piece is the garlic and the artichokes, and we're just going to kind of want those to heat through. And then
the garlic we want to cook. The artichokes they're
already cooked, but you just want them to heat
them.
Yeah. And that's going to be the base of this sauce that we're making.
So it's almost like a mushroom ragu, I would say.
Or if you're
ragu.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, what we were mentioning earlier when we started the stream is that we were dealing with some technical difficulties, and we could not get our second camera to work, no matter how
we
hard
tried every
tried.
We tried.
Yeah, it wasn't. The app wasn't syncing up with the computer. So for tonight, this is what it's going to be. I mean, but you could kind of see what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is old school. This is how we started.
Yeah, this is like our first episode. So it's a shame that we can't have our ingredient list up there with our second angle, but this is what we're going to have to do for tonight. We didn't want to miss the stream. We didn't want to come on super late. I was messing around with this thing for about a half an hour.
And you were done with it.
I was over it.
So.
Yeah, I was over it. So we
Mushrooms
decided,
ready.
let's go. Mushrooms can go in.
Using the scooper. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, the oil's already heated up. You can see it's kind of rippling. That means it's ready to go. Hopefully we'll have the camera up and running. Again, I'm going to have to mess around with it this weekend, and hopefully it'll be in working order for our next stream next week.
Salt and pepper. I'm just going to add a little salt and pepper. Meatball in the way,
Yeah.
of course.
Stepping on our dough meatball. Good. So if you're familiar with portobellos, they have like a really nice, meaty kind of texture. This is a vegetarian dinner. So.
Yeah. We love mushrooms. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty evident. We rotate through what mushrooms we order off of Misfits Market each week. but we always order mushrooms.
We do. We love them.
We used to always kind of just stick to the baby bellas. I feel like
we
for a
try.
little while.
I think baby bellas are probably the most mild flavor
Yes.
mushroom, so they're really versatile and you can kind of throw them in anything.
And they're familiar, and I feel like portobellos are familiar, and I think that's what we started with. And then that one time, Misfits sent us, was it an extra box or extra stuff?
Oh, we got an extra couple orders of mushrooms
Yeah,
that
we didn't order. So I like messaged them. They're like, oh, it's an error. Just keep them because they're wonderful customer service wise. So we looked them up and we're like, oh, these are. We had maitake mushrooms. We had we had shiitake. We had oyster mushrooms. And like all these different mushroom varietals. So now every time we get the Misfit, we just kind of rotate through and get a new mushroom each week.
All the time, yeah. They're great. So I'm just going to let these kind of do their thing here. You don't really have to mess with them that much. They're just going to get soft. You want them to get a little bit soft. We're not going to be baking this whole thing for that long. Everything's going to be cooked going into the oven. We're just really going to be putting it in there to brown up the cheese and the breadcrumbs that we use at the very end. So it'll really hang in there for maybe like 10 minutes or so. So you want everything to kind of be cooked before it's going in. While that's happening, I'm just going to open up this can of artichokes here and drain them because we don't want the water from this.
I am just peeling the skin off my shallots before I slice them up. For Bab's favorite part, when I tear up. The shallots, although more mild in flavor, they really get me tearing up every time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tough time with the skin. I don't know if there's a trick. I should probably Google it. Although this time it went a little bit smoother. I usually struggle with the skin on these.
I'm struggling with this can over here.
You know what? It's the Easy Pop can, and I find that sometimes the Easy Pop cans, where they have the tab, are actually harder.
It's like really thick in it.
Because then you don't want to break a nail.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to cut myself. These cans get sharp.
So these mushrooms are actually cooking up really nice because they're into nice bite-sized pieces. I don't want to burn up, so I just turn the heat down a little bit, just to medium. And we learned from watching, what was that cooking stream we watched? The guy in Denver that was just tremendous.
Oh, Ingrediology on the stream.
We watched Ingrediology. We rated him the other day on Twitch, and he was cooking with mushrooms. And he was saying that he's a trained chef. He was saying that your mushrooms, although when they're in the pan, it's going to look dry. The mushrooms, he was saying, soak up all the juice. So in this case, they soak up all the oil, but as they cook, they're going to release that oil. So although you'd be tempted to add more oil,
you don't have to.
When I would look right now, I probably would have had we not watched the stream. But now I know I'm going to let them just kind of do their thing.
Yeah, and we're going to add a little bit more.
We're going to add some butter.
We're going to add some butter to that when we add the shallots, but not yet. Not quite yet.
So these are cooking up beautifully. Shallots I'm going to now slice up. So I peeled them. This actually works. I'm going to slice them going down along the vein. So running parallel. And then I'm going to make slices going into it. I'm going to do 2 slices going into it. I'm going to wet my knife. That usually prevents my tears. So I'm going to do that to all of my shallots, which kind of looks like it works out to 3. It's really just 2 shallots. Just one was rather big. So I'm going to slice them going down. So I'm going to get some nice thin slices, or nice dices. Once I dice, so now it's all feathered out. Holding it together with my claw, it's going to slice down. Since it's cooking with the onions, I'm going to go a nice size dice. Not too small, because I don't want them to burn.
And our mushrooms are really looking great. Unfortunately, I can't really show you.
No, I actually put them over before.
Okay,
you know what's good about this
can
pan,
see
too? Is I can come over, and since it has the handle, I can turn it. So you can
that's great.
That actually works out
Not
well.
so bad. Okay. It's worked out better.
It's almost better than the other camera. See?
Please excuse my summer attire right now. I was getting very hot and frustrated trying to get the camera working before.
I feel very formal. I'm in a button down, although it's a full zoom outfit because
he's got his
I'm wearing sweatpants.
Yeah.
It's the same shirt I wore all week.
Listen, if you're going to be teaching from home, and
I think the fact that I'm in a button down is tremendous.
it's not like you're sweating. You're home. You're not doing a workout.
And as soon as I'm done teaching, I take the shirt off and I just hang it on the back of the chair in the office.
Less laundry. And with a house, and in a house with a baby and 3 dogs,
We do a
lot of laundry. So. All right, so these mushrooms look great. So once he's finished cutting up these shallots here, we're going to throw them in with the mushrooms and let them cook down too.
All right, shallots are ready to go. Just some slight tears.
Honestly, I don't even know if we need the butter just yet.
We might not even need it yet.
We might just add that when we throw in the garlic. And now we want these shallots to cook down to where they become more translucent. That's usually the key with onions. You want them to mellow out a little bit and become more seafood, if you will. So we'll let that happen. You want to open up that can of sauce? I was just going to do that for you, just so that it's open and ready to go.
So we're using crushed tomatoes tonight.
Mm-hmm. You could use like the plum tomatoes and crush them up with your hands.
We usually rotate between the two.
Mm-hmm. But in a dish like this, I think the crush works fine.
Yeah. We still have a little bit of texture.
That's good.
Those are going to take a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to take a little bit of time. So he's going to just chop up those garlic cloves. I'm going to check on the baby. Now.
Don't sneak up on them.
I know. I'm just going to peek. With the garlic, I would say about 3 to 5 cloves.
Yeah.
It's usually our way to go. That's usually what we try to do. We love some garlic.
Baby is good. I got the thumbs up.
Mm-hmm. Doing all right.
Doing all right.
Okay. So today on our Instagram, we opened up some questions from some of our followers, and I said, ask us any food-related questions you have. And so some people were asking about what our favorite Italian dishes are. We have some friends in Italy. We actually attended a cooking class with one of them, and with walk tours in Italy, and it was amazing. And we learned how to make ravioli, and we learned how to make.
We made pasta from scratch. We rolled out the dough for the ravioli,
yep.
And then we also
made with guanciale. We made a long noodle.
We made a long noodle. We made spaghetti and we made linguine because they showed us how to make both. Mm-hmm. So they had the gattata.
Yeah.
So it looks like a guitar. So it's a press and it has the strings, and you actually roll the dough over it, and the dough is cut by these guitar strings essentially, and that's how you make your pasta. It was really cool how pasta from scratch is made. Like, if you ever have watched, just Google it, watch a YouTube video of people rolling out these small pieces, these small rolls, not like a penne. But those little twists, they probably have a fun name. They roll them by hand with a wooden tool. It's a really great scene in Master of None.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that was great.
When he learned how to make pasta. That's before he started shoving his hand down the women's throats without their permission.
Well, getting back to some of the questions, on Instagram, Den and Rob, follow them if you don't on Instagram. They're at DN and Rob. They are professional chefs in Italy, and they are fantastic, and they cook lots of yummy food, but they were asking us what our favorite Italian dishes are. And so for me, my number one go-to, anytime I go out to eat in an Italian restaurant, and also when we were in Italy, which was the food there is just amazing and incredible, and everything that you eat there is great, but my favorite dish is a very simple one, but it's linguine al vongole, which is linguine and clams. Spot on every time. And you
So I actually had a tough time answering that question. Because I was like, oh man, what do I like? Because there's so much. So I love pizza, but I didn't even mention that because it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
But
you're thinking more pasta dishes.
Yeah, so we were thinking more pasta. You could have gone any way, but I went with anything with tagliatelle.
Yeah.
So it's a thicker noodle. So think 3 linguinis put together. 3 pieces of linguine, maybe even more. So it's probably an inch wide, slightly thicker. I just love that noodle. So it's a long noodle, which I'm a fan of. So any tagliatelle ragu. So I just immediately thought back to a meal we had in Florence, right near Plaza Vecchio. Vecchio?
The Ponte Vecchio, yeah.
Not the Ponte Vecchio, by the castle, the Medici Castle.
Oh, by the Medici Castle, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the place now, but it was just wonderful. We found out the other day when we were hanging out with a couple of Sally's friends that they had gone to the same restaurant.
Same restaurant as us,
and
but
had
they were on
an
their
amazing
honeymoon.
meal there as well.
Just coincidentally, and there's so many restaurants there. It's great. And I forget.
The tagliatelle with ragu.
Yeah, you like the tagliatelle with the ragu. Yeah, and it was I think it was with.
I think it was a wild boar.
Wild boar.
Oh, so good.
So yeah, so those are our favorite Italian dishes. Then we got questions about what we were making tonight, and obviously we're making this baked penne dish with some goat cheese, mushrooms, and artichoke. And also what we like to do for the holidays in terms of our cooking. So generally, we host Christmas Eve or Christmas Day at our house.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we do Christmas Eve, we do the Feast of Seven Fishes, which is an Italian tradition. And so we normally do kind of like a zuppa di pesce or like a pasta with all different types of seafood.
Yeah.
And
7 of them.
with 7 of them, yeah. So we usually use lobster, shrimp, scallops, mussels, clams,
Calamari.
Scallops,
And
whitefish,
what's the other fun one?
squingio.
Squingio.
Yeah.
Squingio.
So we use lots of different fish.
Which is a small shellfish.
Shellfish, kind of like a snail.
Yeah.
Sea snail.
Has if it's cooked poorly, a rubbery texture, but it has a firmer, almost like a texture of a mushroom.
Right. So that's what we usually make for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Sometimes we do it for Christmas Day if we're hosting. When we were eating meat, we used to do prime rib. We do a lot of roasted vegetables.
I made a mean prime rib. I'm kind of bummed. I would eat that again.
So that's kind of what we do for the holidays. And then what was the other question? What we like to get for takeout when we don't cook. So one of our...
That's the full screen, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Babs.
Mark, thank you for posting
Shout out.
Ingrediology for us.
Yeah, the shout out for Ingrediology. What we like to do for takeout. We do takeout quite often, especially with the baby. And we do the stream. Obviously, we cook for the stream twice a week. But
with COVID, we don't go out to eat.
No, we want to support our businesses.
We still want to enjoy our food, and we want to support the restaurants that we would be going out to. So now we're ordering them as takeout.
Yeah, so
you're wondering why he's quiet.
Now he's getting hungry. Now he's getting loud. But for takeout, we love to get pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? But we love pizza. We love sushi. We love the standards. But our go-to one that we get all the time, we get shawarma, which is chicken and falafel from a local Turkish restaurant that we absolutely
and we get this.
love.
It's a platter.
It's a platter. It's great.
You get 3 falafels. Their falafels are tremendous, nice and crispy on the outside, but tender on the inside. Mm-hmm. This chicken shawarma, so it's the shaved chicken. Over this yellow rice. It almost has...
It's kind of like a pilaf, I guess.
Yeah, almost like a pilaf, nice flavor. Little small side salad, hummus, and you get fresh pita with it. And it's just delicious. Their delivery is so fast. The guy who owns it is
never
Turkish.
Disappoints. Yeah.
Because I've chatted with him while we were in there. Never disappoints. Need to set up a demand for actual shout-outs. That is at least the user.
Oh yes, thanks, Mark. So,
I don't even know what the command means.
Okay, so I probably have to do that in our settings.
Oh, hi Anastasia.
Hi Anastasia, welcome. We'll have to check that out. All right, so I think that these are starting to look pretty good.
Oh, could I type it?
Type what?
The guy's name at Ingrediology.
Yeah, but I probably have to set it up on our stream manager.
Oh, okay.
I would assume. Something I have to look into.
Okay. I'm just pressing buttons.
Mm-hmm. All
right, how are we looking?
Good. Do you want to chop up those artichokes, or are they just going to break?
Let's do the garlic first, and then I could just give them a real quick chop. So we're just about there, I think, because we're going to saute down this garlic as well. So now you see our mushrooms and onions have cooked down very nicely. The baby is also about to get ready to eat, so I'm going to throw in about a tablespoon and a half of butter. Just toss that in there to start. I'm going to give it a quick toss in our mushroom onion mix, and then I'm going to throw in my garlic with a touch of crushed red pepper, and then I'll chop up those artichokes because I'm not really worried about necessarily even searing them. I do want to throw them in before the sauce so that they catch a little of this seasoning from the garlic and the onions. So garlic, which is at a rough chop, so I just kind of sliced it up in a nice little dice, add a little salt, a little pepper, and we're going to throw in a touch of crushed red, because I like everything with a little bit of heat. I'm going to go light on it, though. Just a pinch. Oh, somebody wants a pinch of his crackers. All right, so now I'm just going to toss this through, so our garlic, but oh my god, this is amazing. Once the garlic hits the pan, total game changer in your scent. Just lights up the kitchen with this beautiful aroma. So swirl it all together, give the pan a quick shake so that it's evenly dispersed, and we're going to let this simmer for just a minute or so while I chop up these artichokes. And we just have the canned artichoke hearts. I mean, you could actually do this to the artichokes themselves, but what do you need?
Just checking the chat.
Oh, up here.
Any questions? Thanks, Anastasia. We're doing well. Glad to hear that you're well too. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, this smells great. Did you add butter to this or no?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay. I was gonna say it kind of smells like butter. I missed that part. Ooh, baby said. Ooh. All right. Actually, I have some water boiling over here too. Or starting to boil, so I'm going to turn that up so that we can throw our pasta in a couple minutes.
The artichokes, I'm just going to quarter. I think that's going to work for the slices. They're going to break up a little bit because they are soft, the artichoke hearts, which is fine. And if they mix into the sauce itself, no baby. Excited. I'm glad we got these artichoke hearts. It was a good call. So I just turn the heat down on the pan just so we don't burn that garlic.
Yeah, and these are doing really nice over here. So once he gets these artichokes in, then we're just going to start making the sauce. And it's really just going to be adding the crushed red tomatoes.
Yeah. And really, it's all about making the base of your sauce.
That's where all the flavor comes from.
And letting that simmer and cook down. That's the most important part.
Perfect.
This
looks great. It looks great already. We're just going to kind of break those apart a little bit.
Such good flavor. Add another ingredient, touch of salt and pepper. Turn my heat back up to medium. Toss this throughout.
Looking good.
I'm just going to let these artichokes kind of heat up and get some of the flavor from the onions, the mushrooms, and the garlic before we toss the sauce on top. And then we're going to have this mushroom artichoke ragu.
And this would be great just on the pasta alone, but we're just going to take it a step further by baking it with a little breadcrumb topping and some goat cheese. So once we do that and add the sauce and let that kind of simmer and do its thing, and we add the pasta in to cook, then we'll make our breadcrumb topping. Yeah. And then we'll shove everything in the oven for about 10 minutes, kind of let it get golden brown and melt a little melty, and we're good to go. I'm excited to make that breadcrumb topping. We're going to make extra today because it's so good. Last time we were just picking on it, remember? We were just stealing bites. Well, last time we made it, we added some shallot and garlic in with it. But tonight we're just going to kind of brown it up in some butter. We can do a little onion powder and garlic powder. We could season it up, sure. But I really think all the flavor is coming from the butter. For sure. Can't wait to give the baby some pasta too. He's almost there. Almost there. I gotta order that. I got this. Ordered some. What are we getting? Orchetti? No, some orzo. Orzo. That's what we got. Little rice. Almost looks like little rice pasta. We couldn't find pastina, which is weird.
Yeah, not online. Couldn't find the best email. All right.
All right, this is good to go. I think we
Good
can
to
add
go.
our
Can of sauce going in. Let me just give everybody a peek at this. There we go. We have our artichokes and our mushrooms and our shallots cooked down. Just adding a whole can of the crushed tomatoes. Touch of water. Just get the last of that sauce off the edges.
Our water is boiling for the pasta here, so I am going to salt it up.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna salt this up really well. Like we say all the time.
His meatball's just staring at the baby chair and is also in everyone's way.
Yeah, our dog is just one of our dogs is standing at my feet. If you don't know, we have 3 dogs. So one of them is just like kind of standing at my feet right now because he's waiting for us to drop something, but also waiting for the baby to drop something because that's kind of his go-to now. So I'm just.
And we thought Hogan was into the beggar.
Well, no, Hogan is too, but right now he's asleep.
Well, Hogan's asleep and he's also deaf, so
he doesn't know what's going on. But I salted this water really well. This is your only opportunity to flavor up your pasta other than the sauce. So you want to make sure that your water is nice and salted. And actually, another shout out to Den and Rob, because that was Roberto who told us that. Salt it like the sea. But it tastes great.
You went plenty with the salt. He had a couple of Prosecco's.
Okay, can I have the pasta, please?
Yes. All right, so breadcrumbs.
We're going to do our breadcrumbs and some butter.
Do I melt the butter first, then I put the breadcrumbs in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go with a small pan so we have room.
Yeah, I think we need.
This guy will work, right? The little guy? Big little medium guy.
Maybe medium there.
So this little guy.
First.
We'll go with this guy. So I got my pan. I'm tossing some butter. How much butter am I putting in? I don't remember.
Like a tablespoon, I guess.
Tablespoon. Okay, so we got a little more than a tablespoon of butter in there. Oops. Our sauce is coming together nicely.
Can I just have a spoon for the pasta, please? Let this pasta cook. Our pasta, like normally, will cook to be like al dente or just shy of al dente, like around 7 minutes or so. Since we are going to be throwing this in the oven, you can kind of have a little bit more of a bite to the pasta before, you put it in there, which is fine. So I'm just going to set our timer for about 7 minutes. And then, once that's cooked through, we'll throw it in and toss it with this sauce. And then we're going to put everything into a nice baking tray and put it in the oven with our topping. And they'll be good to go.
Oh, goat cheese. Better.
And our goat cheese, of course, yeah.
So give you all a peek at the sauce. It's coming together nicely. I can't smell it too much. Get a quick peek at that. I don't want to spill it. Oh, no, too low. There we go.
How's that tasting?
Good. Good.
Now, yeah. If you don't have the time to make this from scratch, you could certainly use your favorite jarred sauce. But really, since you're going to be cooking everything already, this is super easy because you can.
Way cheaper.
And it's cheaper, yeah.
It's way cheaper than a jar sauce. At least a good jar of sauce. There's no didn't more. Although with the ragu, not actually a big fan of ragu.
No.
Prego, I know. We went to Rayo's. We like
Rayo's. I did read on Thrillist the other day, we mentioned Rayo's when we made that last pasta dish when we used their jarred sauce. Rayo's is a famous Italian restaurant in New York City. And for the
Reservation only,
first time,
like,
yeah, it's
people
like
have-
very exclusive.
People have reserved seats like every Friday night.
tables. It's a very
You gotta
exclusive
know
place.
so many to get in there.
I went there when I was about 12 with my family, and have only been there once. But it's very good. The food it's a very famous place. But because of COVID and the pandemic and what's been going on with so many restaurants around the country, they are doing takeout for the first time ever. So if you live in the New York City area, it might be worthwhile to look into. Sorry, I'm stepping away from the camera for just a moment. I am feeding the baby and also talking to you. Does anybody have any questions for us while we're making this? Let us know. But this is the first time we're ever making this dish, but we made a dinner a couple weeks back on the stream where I mentioned earlier, where we used portobello mushrooms and we stuffed them with sauce, spinach, goat cheese, and panko breadcrumbs. And we just ate it with pasta on the side, and it was incredible. The dish was really, really good. We
were blown away by it.
Yeah, that was actually a recipe that I found online, and I can't take credit for it. We can't take credit for it. It's at A Beautiful Plate. That was their recipe, and it was phenomenal, and we absolutely loved it. And we were talking about it this week, and we said, you know what? You're going to Yeah. We loved it, and we thought, like, how can we have portobellos, but, like, how can we revamp that and make it slightly different? And we had these artichokes, and we thought, okay, let's make it into a pasta, bake, but have those similar flavors. So we're hoping that this is going to taste good. I can tell you by tasting the sauce already, it's going to be good. But we're excited about it.
Sauce is good. It's actually not hot. Not spicy.
No, it's not.
Nice.
This is, if you want to make it hot, you can certainly add more pepper.
Yeah, not that I think it needs it, but it's good. I did go light. I get a little heavy-handed with the spice.
Hey, we got a new follower.
Oh, who?
So welcome.
Do we know who? Does it say?
Anton, 1979.
Hi, Anton. Anton?
Ants. I don't know how you pronounce it. Anton, 1979. Thanks for joining us. Oh, we also got a follower on Wednesday that we didn't get to say thanks for joining us. So KJ1, thanks for joining us too. We have 75 followers now. Yay!
Ooh, yeah.
It's exciting. Thank you, everyone.
For 100 followers, we should make like a fancy meal.
That would be fun.
We did get some lobster tails today.
We did. I mean, frozen lobster tails, but we got them in.
I'm just waiting for my mom to be like, oh, lobster. Bass loves lobster. We did get some lobster tails. So
Yeah.
we don't know what we're doing with them yet, but we'll let you know.
For Christmas.
We'll let you know. We'll make it work, including you.
Yeah. All right. So,
Next time we make scallops, we gotta make them tomorrow.
I know. Our scallops came out really good last time.
Yeah. Right, so I think we can start.
That topic.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just slide my pasta sauce up to the back burner. It's pretty cooked. I'm just letting it simmer now. I'm now gonna melt down this butter. So I have butter. I just season with a little salt and pepper.
Yeah, this pasta is almost. This pasta has a couple more minutes, and I'll test it out in about 2 minutes. And then when it's done, we'll throw it in with the sauce. And we're going to have this kind of breadcrumb tapping going. So what we're just doing with this, panko has a nice crunch to it. We're just kind of flavoring it up a little bit with a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper. And then we're just going to make a nice crunchy topping on top of our bacon.
And it's funny, we were always just Italian breadcrumbs, just like your basic Italian breadcrumbs. Because, they're classic. They do great.
We do a lot
breading
of Italian
chicken cutlet, breading eggplant, breading anything. They work really well. But Sally was in the mood for some crunch. And I think was it that recipe that inspired you? Or
Yeah.
So we got the panko breadcrumbs, and I gotta say, they are so much better.
They're so crunchy.
They're just so crunchy. They're light and crispy, like the recipe says. Plain panko breadcrumbs are delicious, light and crispy. The perfect coating for chicken, fish, seafood, meat, vegetables. Our panko breadcrumbs are large and flaky and will make all your recipes lighter and crunchier. And they really did. So, super impressed by that. Alright, so I'm going to pull a piece of pasta to check it. So we pull it a little bit early. We pull it at 7 minutes because this is going to have time to cook in the sauce and it's going in the oven. So the last thing you want is gummy pasta.
No, we don't want gummy pasta. Mark, you said you recommend cooking and eating what? The shallots? I think that's what you were referring to.
Alright, so my butter is all melted. So now I'm going to toss in my... I have about 3/4 of a cup of panko. We started with a 1/4 cup. I said, no, a half. And then just as I was pouring this, I upped it to 3/4.
A cup because it's a big, tray.
All I needed to hear. She's in charge of writing up the recipes. I don't want to get in trouble, but I guess that's an adjustment of one number, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we're at a cup. So I'm tossing these in. Oh, yeah. So excited for this. I am going to season them a little bit with a little bit of garlic powder because I think that's just going to be... We love garlic. That's why we have a giant garlic seasoning. Panko breadcrumbs are going to be plain. A little garlic powder. A little bit of onion powder.
You try that pasta yet?
No, I want to let it cool. A little bit of onion powder. And then we'll do a little salt and pepper because everything needs a little love, a little salt and pepper.
Oh, the lobster tails, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's what Mark wants in on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Let me try one of these.
So now these breadcrumbs are going to soak up the butter right away, which I had about 2 tablespoons, which I'm glad I went heavy because we went heavy on the panko. The butter's going to add some delicious flavor, and then just toasting these up is going to add some lovely flavor to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing pasta?
I think this pasta's going to go in right now. Yep.
And it's real simple,
Hold it.
The breadcrumbs. Where are you going?
We're just going to, that's going to go into the sauce now.
Okay, so you need me to take that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was going on with that.
Bab said those are hers, the lobster tails. Just telling Mark, don't think so.
Alright. So pasta's ready to go in. Going in, move this little room and move this pot out of the way.
Perfect. I'm just gonna toss this pasta in the sauce here, make sure everything's kind of coated nice and evenly here.
Go.
You could eat this on its own, just like we were saying. This is totally fine to eat on its own, but we just wanted to kind of spruce it up a little bit and go a step further and make this topping and add some cheese, because who doesn't want cheese?
We might have a cheese issue in this house.
I agree. I love it.
A little bummed we ordered some food. They didn't have the Gruyere. It didn't come.
I know.
But we did get this adorable little port wine. So Babs has made me addicted to port wine since I was a kid. That was our thing. We used to always get port wine. We'd get the little containers, the little tubs, and we'd sit with either Triscuits or Wheat Thins and eat it. I've been hooked on port wine ever since then. But we found this cheddar. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, just a noodle fell.
This cheddar port wine, and it's got a little Santa cheddar port wine.
So cute.
So I couldn't resist buying that because it's adorable.
It is. All right, this is all. No, I didn't. I left it there. That's okay. He's done pretty much.
I mean, he was having a blast.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now this pasta.
That's good, right? Is that good?
I'll just turn off the stove.
Yeah.
This pasta is going to go into the tray.
Hold on 1 second. I'll do that for you.
Well, how about we switch?
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on that, and you.
And I'll do that into
Do this. Okay.
Alright. slide right in. You'll be able to get a better look at it. Put all these goodies in there. Get all these bits of artichoke and scallion.
Shallots.
Shallots.
Not scallion. I don't think scallion would work in this dish.
No. Also not in family, but not for this one.
Oh, these are toasting up.
Ooh,
nice.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so that looks good already. And did you grab the goat cheese or you need that?
No, not yet. I do need that.
So we're going to start with the one for now. But
so we have 4 ounces, just plain goat cheese.
We may need a little bit more. We do love cheese.
I was going to say, we have 2 in there. Is this the older one? But it doesn't matter. We're going to go through it. We're not really that concerned.
Oh, that's true. I wasn't thinking about that. But we'll probably end up using both anyway. Thanks, Babs. We think it looks good already, too. Like we said, you could definitely eat it just the way it is right now. But we thought kind of adding this extra layer on top would be fun. Alright, let me get the baby's water.
So I'm just going to I just kind of slice this up, and then I'm going to just break it up on top. Really no particular rhyme or reason. Just want to spread it out and let that cheese be able to, once it pops into the oven, melt in. It's going to add some just delicious bites once you get to that goat cheese.
Yeah. Now, normally you would use like,
ricotta.
Yeah, ricotta cheese.
Mozzarella.
Ricotta cheese.
Ricotta.
Ricotta cheese.
We like to do our best Giada
Giada.
whenever we say anything Italian, because she's just talking, and she's American, but she's Italian. She speaks Italian. But whenever she, on her cooking show, whenever she says anything that is Italian,
She does it really nice.
her accent comes on, and it's awesome. Parmigiano ricotta.
Parmigiano Reggiano. That's my favorite one. All right, so that looks great. So that was just one of the goat cheese logs. Yeah, so that's perfect.
That's good.
Yeah, and then we're gonna add this.
I may have stolen a bite.
We're gonna add these panko breadcrumbs to the top of that.
Right, so let me give a peek. I want to peek at this. So there we have it. So as you can see, I just crumbled the goat cheese across, and then this is ready
and
to go.
now we're just gonna
put it down because I can't really find it.
Sure. Then we're gonna throw this on top. A nice coating, a nice layer on the top here. And then we're just going to throw it into our oven, which has been preheated at 375. And we're just going to let it kind of do its thing in there. And get a little melty. And then this dinner is going to be done, which is really exciting. I am starving.
Yeah, me too.
My tummy is rumbling. It sounds like baby wants to have some too. Are you all done?
He heard us talking about him having pasta soon, and he was like, soon, like tonight soon?
Yeah, he's like, where is it? Where's my pasta, guys? Where's my pasta?
So what has he been eating? If we eat pizza, I give him, like, we had Sicilian pizza the other night, and I gave him bites of the inside. He was loving that. Whenever we have bread, we rip out little bits of the inside, and he has that. So I'm just spreading this out evenly. I don't want it to be too thick in any spot, but I also want to make sure I get that breading across the whole top without being clumpy. The breading is going to just add such nice flavor that I want every bite, once we scoop this out, to have some of that flavor of the breading. All right. All right, so our breading is nicely mixed up on top. So we have that goat cheese, we have the pasta with the sauce, goat cheese, and then our panko breadcrumbs, which have been toasted with a little butter, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. It's going in the oven at 375. I'm going to put it towards the top, top rack, so that it can get a nice brown. A little goat cheese with the breadcrumbs and all that.
There you go. Yum, yum, yum. Those things are good.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for this too. In there.
All right.
Clean it up with baby.
So really, this is just gonna go in there and get nice and brown in the oven here. So we're just gonna do a little bit of straightening up. If you have any questions for us about this meal or any of the meals that we cook, or if you have just some food questions for us, let us know in the chat. This is definitely something somebody on our Instagram had asked about holiday meals and recipes that you could have for the holidays, and I feel like this is something you could absolutely make if you're going to have guests come over, because whenever you make like a baked pasta, it always is super hearty. There's a lot
And
of
you
it.
can make it in advance.
You can make it in advance and throw
So
it in
you're
the
not
oven that
cooking anything
day.
here.
So this certainly would be a good meal to make for the upcoming holidays if you're celebrating any.
It's the second night of Hanukkah.
It is the second night of Hanukkah, so anybody who's celebrating, happy Hanukkah.
I know there's 8 crazy nights in Hanukkah.
There are.
Instead of 1 day of presents.
You get 8 crazy nights. I was thinking about it too. There's a really fun recipe that we like to do for the holidays, which is a great side dish or an appetizer, which is basically like an Italian bread crostini with ricotta cheese.
Have we done it on the...
No, we haven't.
Ooh.
Blistered tomatoes and honey and red chili flakes. It's really, really simple and
So
super
good.
yummy. It's something that we'll certainly be doing on the stream sometime in the future. But that's a great app or side dish to kind of any meal, really, but really wonderful for the holidays. And I believe that's a Giada recipe too, if I'm not mistaken.
We kind of like Giada in this house. She does it right.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
So it's Giada, we like Anna Gardner.
Yeah, we love
Gardner.
Ina Garten. We love Giada.
Like Bobby Flay.
We love Bobby Flay. We love Alex Marcelli. What we do in this house a lot of the time, the recipes that we do cook, I mean, some of the things are things that we've had obviously since we've been growing up, and just things that we've made over the years. But a lot of the time too, we just like to experiment with what we're making, and we'll see a recipe that looks really good online, on Instagram or something, or maybe we'll see it in the New York Times or something like that, or we'll see it on
a cooking show.
And we go
inspired by that.
We see a recipe and we kind of tweak it and make it our own, or throw ingredients that we prefer since we don't eat beef or pork anymore. We might do a dish slightly different. We might make it vegetarian, or we might make it more chicken-based, turkey-based, something like that. So there's lots of stuff that you could do with recipes with just a little inspiration from some of the things that you see online. And this recipe tonight is a take on something that we did a couple weeks ago that we were inspired by another chef.
Yeah.
And I don't really I'm not saying that we're chefs, because we're not chefs by any means in that way, but we're home chefs. I'm just going to take a peek here in the oven. Starting to get a little melty. And I think baby's now getting a little bit upset. Oh, you standing up. Look at you go. It's always really nice to be able to kind of clean up too while we're streaming like this, so that when we finish up, we can just sit down and eat and not have to clean up a whole bunch of stuff. I'll get our plates ready for when we're ready to plate this dish up. I will post this, and I'll post the picture of it, and I'll post the recipe to this on our Instagram page later tonight. If you don't follow us there, please do that. It's at OurDinnerisDunn, and I will also put this video onto our YouTube page. What I usually do is I'll just upload our streams and put them on there too for anybody who comes late or anybody who maybe missed it and wants to refer back to it again. I'll throw that on our YouTube, and that's at OurDinnerisDunn as well. Sure, Babs, we'll save you some. There's going to be plenty here. Going to be plenty. Plenty of food. Tell us, anybody in the chat, who likes pasta? What's your favorite pasta dish? We talked to you about what our favorite Italian dish is. What are yours? I honestly like any pasta that has seafood in it. That's kind of usually my favorite. I love soup at the pesh. I love linguine and clams. I love crab meat and pasta. I love lobster mac. I love seafood and pasta together.
Whoa,
Those are usually my go-tos. Okay, so ooh, they're starting to get brown. The breadcrumbs are starting to brown up at the top, and the goat cheese is starting to melt down a little bit. I think that if you wanted, you could certainly put this in the broiler or under the broiler and have it cooked like that too. The broiler does a really nice job of browning things up, but you do have to be mindful and pay attention because it can go from brown to burnt in a matter of seconds. So you really have to pay attention to it. We'll give this a couple more minutes, and then we'll show you what we're working with here, and then we'll find another stream to raid. The last few streams that we did raid were great. We saw Ingrediology, which we mentioned before, and we also watched the Josh Elkin the other night, and he was making French onion soup, which is really yummy and tasty this time of year around these parts when it's super cold. Although today was a nice day, I actually went for a walk with the baby because the sun was shining and the temperatures were pretty mild. Okay. All right, this is looking really good. I'm actually going to turn the broiler on low for a moment to get these nice and crispy on top. These. Oh, hi, Anastasia. Yes, this is going to be really yummy. Now, Anastasia, I can't remember. Are you the vegetarian? I know somebody on our stream is a vegetarian. So if you are, this is a vegetarian meal. This is something you can make at home, nice and easy. Oh, is it snowing where you are? We had a few flurries here earlier in the week, but nothing crazy. Nothing that really stuck. We can't wait for the baby to see snow for the first time. He's not quite walking yet, so it would be great if he was walking when the snow was here so that he could actually go outside and play around in it a little bit.
Whoa, that was so strong.
Ah, you are a vegetarian. I thought I remembered that. So this is a really yummy vegetarian meal then. You get your vegetables in there, you get some mushrooms, you get some artichokes. I'm sure that there are other veggies that you can throw in, but that's kind of what we wanted to stick with tonight. Those are some of our favorite when it comes to pasta. All right, so I have this now. The bake is in the oven. We did have it on 375 baking. I just turned the broiler onto low, just so that we can kind of speed things up so that you can see what it looks like. You could certainly make this and let it kind of rest and brown up. If you have more time, you could do that. I wouldn't necessarily put the broiler on high though, because again, you don't want the breadcrumbs to burn. Oh, okay, this is just about ready. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds here, and then we're going to pull this out. And you can see what this dinner is going to look like, because it is super pretty. All right. This down. All right, let's take this out. Okay. Turn this oven off. Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way I could show you this here.
I got it.
Since we don't have our other camera on, unfortunately.
Yay!
If you can get a good look at that, you can see we've got some nice crispy breadcrumbs there. The middle didn't crisp up just as much as the sides there, but you could see like the breadcrumbs are nice and toasty and brown. The goat cheese, you can smell it. It has that like nice kind of sweet but tangy smell. This smells great. So I'm just going to take a quick picture of this right here so that I can put this on our stream, or I'm sorry, on our Instagram later. And then I'm going to plate this up because our dinner is done. I'll post a picture of this and our recipe later on our page. Let me get it. Let's take a picture of this first.
Wow.
Ooh, that looks good. I'm a shorty, so it's a little bit harder for me to take these pictures. Not too bad. Not terrible. I have a nice camera too, but I'm not going to take that out to take a picture right now. Okay, that looks good. And would you like to plate?
Sure. Switch.
Yep.
I don't know if it.
Oh, guys, gotta chill.
I'm going to look for a stream.
All right, I'm plating up. Ooh. This looks good. Ooh, it's hot. Right? Tighten that up. Parsley on top. Slide it out here. Excuse me, meatball. There we go. Oh, our dinner is done.
All right, our dinner is done. That looks awesome. We are getting ready to eat. Stick around. I'm going to find a stream to read. It looks like we're going to try to read, let's see. Let's find somebody. That looks good.
I can't hold it there.
No, you don't have to hold it there anymore. I'm trying to find a nice cooking stream for us to go to.
Oh, baby escaped.
Baby escape. Ooh, what's this? she might be making some coquito. Okay, we're gonna go here. So we're gonna go to rare drop. All right, stick around, everyone.
Hello, Matt. Or baby in the kitchen. Baby chef.
Okay, everybody, take care. Our dinner is done. This is
Bye.
gonna go up on our Instagram later today. We'll see you all next Wednesday.